I'll do the Roxanne pose. How can I help?
Right. I think that's good.
It's all.
It's a good pose. Well, one of the things that you're making me think about now is, okay, so that's entering in, and you talked about integrating. How do we move forward, right? And you're using that language about, okay, how can we move forward constructively? And so I'm reminded of one of the things I did to help myself when I was going through a hard change. And this was years ago. This was in the business context. I was working for a large corporation, and my team, myself, and my boss were let go.
Mm.
That's some, what did you say? Traumatic change. Yeah. So I've been working for the organization for 14 years, right? This was something that happens, in corporate America. This is just what happens sometimes, especially in large scale organizations. And certainly people are going through this today, right? And so I was not expecting it. And one of the things I learned about change is the amount of surprise that you experience also has to do with how upset you are by the change, right? If you are expecting it, you may not like it, but I know that I certainly feel more equipped to handle it. And that has been my experience observing others' reactions to it. But when you are really surprised by an announcement, then it's harder. And that certainly was my experience in this situation. So I went through, what often happens in these situations is I went through my change curve, like whoop, really fast, and then came back. And then I was kind of like, messy. I would go to these different places as I was trying to find my footing, find certainty. And eventually what I did was I started to just write, just to get it all out, kind of get out all the emotions. Right. This is a strategy that I had learned a long time ago that helped me, to your point. And then I was like, okay, I need to do something constructive. So what I did was, on my wall over here, which I use a lot to just get some ideas going. And there's a bunch of things. Can you see the Post-it notes? There's some stuff there right now. Not about this example, but about another project. Anyway, so what I did was I put 3 categories up on the wall. One was current responsibility, so current state, and then future state, so way over to the right, to my right, and then the middle, progress. And everything that I had to do with current state, everything I was responsible for, I put a Post-it note for those things. Everything that was related to the future, that was about hope and where things could be, I put there. And then everything in progress, I put in the middle. And the in the current state, it was my current responsibilities related to my job that I needed to hand off. In the future state, it was, I'm going somewhere new, and I have these 3 or 4 things that I can explore actively. And so that was underneath that. And in the middle was finding my people jobs, because I had determined that was what I was going to do. That was going to be my reaction. That was going to be, I was feeling empowered, with that. So then I decided to think about, okay, how am I feeling about these 3? And in my first one, I was pissed. I was upset. I was resentful. And I just put that at the bottom. And then in the future one, I was genuinely excited. I was genuinely hopeful. And I put that at the bottom. And then the middle one, I was determined. I was empowered. I was resentful, but I was empowered, right? I was resentful that I felt like I had to do this. But this is like all the stuff in my head up on a wall.
Yeah.
And what it helped me do when I stepped back, I was like, oh, this is basically the hodgepodge of tasks that I have in my head that I'm trying to hold there at the same time, and the emotions attached to them, right? And it was a way for me to break it all down. And then what I could do constructively with that is take care of certain things. Like to your point about taking care of yourself, I could pick a few things. I could maybe plan my calendar of, okay, I got to do these horrible things, but I've got these hopeful things coming up toward the end of the day, or whatever it was, you know? And so then as I picked these things off, especially the ones that I hated, I was like, yes, I can spend more time on the hopeful in the hopeful place. It was so helpful for me to get through this horrible thing and create certainty for myself when there was very little certainty. So that's what you were reminding me of. And anyway, I was just thinking about that.
You did wall therapy.
I did wall therapy.
I mean, that's really what we're looking for in therapy as far as treatment goals are to identify some treatment goals, identify some actions, and identify how the client's currently or patient is currently feeling about it.
Yeah.
And how to transition them from feeling this way to feeling this way, and
Right.
giving them those coping mechanisms. And wall therapy is an amazing coping mechanism.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I mean, it is. You should do a Zoom and just introduce people to like that wall therapy, change exercise, because what you said there of labeling what you're thinking, what's in between your ears, and then also assigning a feeling to those thoughts, and then categorizing it into, like we talked about, the what's going to impact me and things I can do about, I can do something about, like being able to like break that up. It gives you a sense of, I don't often use this word in this manner, but it gives you a sense of control,
right,
and empowerment that you can impact your future.